My husband's business trips always fell on the same weekend, until I found out what he was really doing. My husband, Ethan, is a consultant for a tech company that's always sending him on trips. Or at least, that's what I believed. His job had always been a bit of a mystery to me, vague, flexible, and somehow always demanding his presence somewhere else. For the past year, he'd been going away once a month, always the same weekend, the second weekend. Every time. Without fail. At first, I didn't think much of it. We'd been married for 5 years, together for almost 10. Ethan was loyal, attentive, and supportive, or at least, that's what I kept telling myself. But lately, something had started to feel off. Not anything concrete, just small things. A shift in tone. Less warmth in his texts. Shorter calls. Mechanical I love yous. The kind of things you only notice when you've spent years with someone and can sense even the smallest crack. One night, as I sat alone on our couch watching a movie, the same couch we used to curl up on together, I opened my calendar and looked back. June, second weekend, conference in Denver. July, second weekend, client meeting in Austin. August, second weekend, team retreat in Lake Tahoe. September, second weekend, client crisis, Chicago. October, the same. Always a different city. Always a different excuse. But always the same weekend. I remember staring at the dates, chills creeping over my skin. I didn't know what I was looking for until I saw it. A pattern. A clockwork rhythm in the middle of the chaos. And suddenly, it didn't feel like coincidence anymore. I asked him about it, casually, pretending to be curious. Is it just chance that these trips always fall on the same weekend? He shrugged. Just how the schedule works out. Pure luck, I guess. He didn't even look up from his phone. Something about that answer settled wrong in my gut. I didn't push it that night, but I didn't sleep either. That's when I decided to start digging. Just a little. Just to put my mind at ease. The next trip was in 4 days. And I was going to follow him. When Friday came, I could barely keep my hands from shaking. I told Ethan I'd be visiting my sister that weekend, a last-minute girls' trip. He didn't ask many questions. Just kissed me on the forehead and reminded me to have fun. Classic Ethan. Warm. Distant. Distracted. He left at 6:30 a.m. with one small suitcase and a briefcase. I watched from the upstairs window as he pulled out of the driveway, his taillights disappearing down our street like they had so many times before. But this time, I didn't stay home. I had packed the night before and parked my car 2 blocks away. The moment he turned the corner, I jumped into the driver's seat and followed him. He got on the freeway heading north, not toward the airport, but into the suburbs. My heart started pounding. What kind of business trip starts in a residential area? I kept my distance, far enough not to be noticed, close enough not to lose him. He drove for nearly 40 minutes before pulling into the driveway of a modest brick house with white shutters and a tiny mailbox with a cartoon bee on it. I parked across the street and slouched low in my seat, watching. A woman answered the door. She looked about our age, early 30s. Auburn hair. Slender build. She was wearing pajama pants and a tank top. No hesitation, no curiosity, no surprise. She smiled when she saw him and stepped aside. Ethan walked in like he'd done it 100 times. The door shut behind him. I sat frozen. Trying to breathe. Trying not to throw up. 10 minutes passed. Then 30. Then an hour. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who that woman was or how long this had been going on. But I knew it wasn't business. And I knew I couldn't just sit there. So I got out. I walked up to the house and stood on the sidewalk, staring at the front door. My fists clenched at my sides, my mind spinning with rage, confusion, betrayal. And then, I turned around and walked back to my car. I wasn't ready. Not yet. I needed a plan. Proof. Something undeniable. Because once I opened this door, literally or metaphorically, there would be no going back. I drove away with tears in my eyes. But my hands were already dialing the number of a private investigator. I needed answers. And soon, I'd have them. The private investigator's name was Natalie Ruiz. She came highly recommended, discreet, thorough, and brutally honest. When we met at a quiet cafe the next morning, I handed her a photo of Ethan and gave her everything I knew. His full name. His job. His travel schedule. Even the address of the house I followed him to. She didn't react much, just nodded, took notes, and told me she'd be in touch. The next few days were agonizing. Ethan returned home Sunday night with a fake yawn and a half-hearted story about an exhausting client meeting. I played along. Smiled. Kissed him. Asked if he wanted takeout or if he was too tired. I felt like a stranger in my own skin. Every time he touched me, it felt like betrayal. Not just his, but mine. Pretending. Waiting. But Natalie called on Wednesday. Her voice was steady, but I could hear the weight in it. "I have something," she said. "And you're going to want to sit down." She'd followed him for 4 days. Monday through Wednesday, Ethan left the office early each afternoon and drove to that same house. The woman's name was Kara Blanchard. Divorced. No kids. A freelance interior designer who, apparently, had been dating Ethan for nearly a year. Nearly. A year. Natalie had photos. Ethan kissing Kara in the doorway. Carrying groceries into her house. Watching Netflix through the living room window, curled up under a blanket with wine glasses in hand. I felt like I couldn't breathe. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was Thursday. Natalie followed Ethan and Kara to a little boutique downtown. A jewelry store. Not a chain. One of those small, rustic places with handwritten price tags and velvet display cases. She snapped photos through the window as Ethan pointed to a display of rings. Engagement rings. And Kara laughed, touching his arm like this was normal. Like he was hers. I couldn't speak. I just stared at the photos as my hands trembled and something inside me cracked in half. He had promised me forever. And now he was planning a second one, with someone else. The next morning, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I made coffee. Took a shower. Put on the necklace Ethan gave me 2 Christmases ago. And I began planning my revenge. I wasn't just going to leave him. I was going to let him bury himself first. Because I wasn't done watching. Not yet. That morning, I greeted Ethan with a kiss on the cheek and a casual, "You slept so soundly last night." He smiled, clueless, and mumbled something about needing more rest. I offered to make him breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast, his favorite. I played the perfect fiancé. For the next week, I watched him lie to my face every day. Long meetings. Late nights. Client emergencies. Every lie came with a hug. A smile. Sometimes even flowers. But now, every time he spoke, I saw her. Kara. I saw her fingers wrapped around his wrist in those photos. The way she leaned into him like he belonged to her. And I smiled. Because I had a plan. First, I made a copy of all the photos Natalie sent me. I kept them in a password-protected folder on my laptop and a backup flash drive hidden in my desk drawer, right underneath our joint tax files. Ethan wouldn't dare go near them. Then I started building my escape. Quietly. Carefully. I opened a separate checking account in my name only. Transferred small amounts at a time, just enough that Ethan wouldn't notice. I told him I was moving money to a wedding savings account to surprise him with something special. He grinned. Kissed my forehead. Said I was the best thing that ever happened to him. I wanted to spit in his face. But instead, I said, "You deserve it." I also started packing. Not visibly, not fully. Just small things. Jewelry. Personal documents. Family heirlooms. I brought them to my friend Lisa's apartment a few blocks away. She'd been my rock through everything. She knew everything. "Are you sure you don't want to just leave?" she asked one night as we boxed up my grandmother's silver bracelet. "Not yet," I said. "Not until he sees exactly what he threw away." Because I wasn't going to just vanish. I was going to ruin him. The final piece of my plan came together when I found out Kara was planning a weekend trip with Ethan, a cabin in Vermont. He told me it was another conference. I told him to pack warm and have fun. He laughed and said, "You're amazing." That was Friday. On Saturday morning, I drove to Kara's house with a manila envelope in hand. Inside? Copies of every photo. A letter. And a printed screenshot of my text conversation with Ethan from 3 nights earlier, the one where he told me he couldn't wait to marry me and start a family. I didn't ring the doorbell. I just left the envelope taped to her door. And I waited. Sunday evening, Ethan came home early. His face was pale. His eyes wild. I asked him how the conference went. He didn't answer. Just stood there, like a ghost. That's when I knew. She'd seen it. She knew. And now, so did he. But I wasn't done yet. I was going to let him sweat. Let him beg. Because next weekend? We were supposed to go engagement ring shopping. And I had plans for that too. Saturday rolled around faster than I expected. Ethan had barely spoken to me all week. He was jittery, distracted, like a man walking on a tightrope over a pit he couldn't see the bottom of. Perfect. That morning, I reminded him with a bright smile, "Ring shopping today, remember?" He flinched like I'd slapped him. "Oh, yeah. Right. Still want to do that?" "Of course," I said sweetly. "I've been looking forward to it." I watched him force a smile. He was trying so hard to act normal, to keep up the illusion, even though I knew, deep down, he was unraveling. We drove to the jewelry store in silence. I could almost hear his heart pounding through his chest. Every time our eyes met, he'd look away. I, on the other hand, was glowing. Laughing. Pointing at rings. Trying them on. Complimenting him. The saleslady, a kind, older woman named Linda, gushed over us. "You two are such a beautiful couple. How long have you been together?" 3 years, I said with a smile. And engaged for 3 months. Ethan nodded numbly, as if answering on autopilot. Then I spotted the ring. Not the one I wanted, not really, but the one that would make the perfect ending. It was almost identical to the ring Kara had hidden in that drawer. I picked it up, slid it onto my finger, and turned to Ethan. "What do you think?" I asked, twirling it slightly. He swallowed hard. "It's nice." "Perfect," I said, grinning. "We'll take it." He looked like he was about to pass out. Linda wrapped up the ring. I handed over my credit card. Ethan didn't argue. On the way home, I asked, "Is everything okay between us?" He hesitated. "Yeah. Work's been stressful." "Okay," I said. "You'd tell me if something was wrong, right?" "Of course," he whispered. I turned away to hide my smirk. That night, I made us dinner. Lit candles. Wore the ring. We sat in silence at the table, and I could feel the tension seeping from his pores. Then, halfway through his glass of wine, he finally cracked, "Did Kara say something to you?" I set my fork down gently. "Why would she?" I don't know. We ran into each other last week, and she seemed off." "Oh?" I raised an eyebrow. "Funny. I thought she was always off." He stared at me, trying to read me. "I think you should get some rest," I said, standing up. "We've got a big week ahead." I left him sitting there, the wine half drunk, his hands trembling. He had no idea how deep he'd dug his grave, but tomorrow, he'd find out, because I wasn't just leaving, I was taking everything with me. The day had arrived. Friends. Family. Decorations. Champagne. An engaged banner hanging over our backyard like a lie written in bold letters. I watched as people filtered in, hugging Ethan, congratulating us. He was sweating through his shirt, smiling too wide, pretending like nothing was wrong. I wore a soft blue dress. Elegant. Graceful. The ring he helped pick out glittered on my finger like a weapon. It was a weapon. I didn't say much. Just smiled, nodded, and waited until everyone had a drink in their hand, until they all gathered around us for the toast. Ethan raised his glass. To my beautiful fiancée. The woman I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. Everyone clapped. I let the silence sit, then I raised mine. To secrets, I said. A few confused chuckles. To the lies we tell the people we pretend to love. Ethan's face went pale. To engagement rings that were once meant for someone else. Gasps. Audible, sharp, reeled. I turned toward him slowly. Did you think I wouldn't find it? I asked, my voice calm and cutting. The ring in the closet? The one you bought for her? He opened his mouth. No words came out. Kara says hi, by the way. I added, murmurs. Stares. I held up my phone and pressed play. His voice. Whispering to Kara in her kitchen. Promising her he still loved her. That I was just someone to settle down with. I'd recorded everything, and I'd sent it to myself. And backed it up. And now it played for everyone to hear. His mother covered her mouth. My sister gasped. His best friend slowly stepped away from him. I watched Ethan crumble. His mouth moved, trying to explain, but there was nothing left to say. I took off the ring and placed it gently on the table. I hope it fits her this time, I said. Then I turned to the crowd, smiled, and added, drinks are still on us. I just won't be staying for the wedding. I walked out. Calm. Steady. Freed. In the end, I didn't just expose him, I erased him, and I didn't look back once.